Anybody and everybody can pay attention in their world. Everybody and anybody can be wary in transitional spaces and see what's going on in their world. Today's video is brought to us by Mantis. The Mantis family of products is integral to ASP staff building handgun and carbine skills and are your most economical and fastest path to improvement in your skills too. Whether you choose the X10, the Laser Academy, the Blackbeard, or use them all in concert, they will help your practice be more effective, efficient, and fun. Go check them out, pick up a unit, and thank them for sponsoring today's video. What makes this start to be a presentation for firearms carrier is number 3. Carry your gun. Drives me nuts the number of people that I know that have the ability to carry a gun and choose not to. If you're a fan of the channel, how many people have we seen in Houston, freaking Texas get robbed? Texas! You've heard the culture, right? Yeah, don't mess around with somebody in Texas, we'll kill you dead. That's hogwash, man. You freaking Houstonians get robbed like every day. Finally, I have one coming this week of finally a Houstonian that had their gun on them when somebody tried to rob them. Yes, finally, a regular Houstonian. She didn't even shoot the guy either. He just came over with a rifle, tries to come over the counter, and she goes, nope. And he goes, I'm sorry, I left the oven on. Nope's out of there. It's great. I'm going to say it even a little bit stronger, please. Carry your damn gun. Ladies in particular, I'm talking to you. You're like, that's my husband's job. Is he with you 24/7? Carry your gun. Now, number 4, about a third of all the encounters of all kinds that I narrate involve multiple attackers. How much gun you want? Now, again, if I have to, I'm carrying a gun not to carry it. I'm not carrying a gun because I like carrying a gun. I say this all the time. If Jeff Bezos doesn't carry a gun. You know why? He's got people for that. And if I was a redonka billionaire, I'd have people for that trash too. Be like, you wouldn't carry your own gun if you were a billionaire, John? Nope. I'd have a security detail. Your job is to shoot anybody that I need to shoot and be really good at it. That's like, well, John, if you were president, would you carry a gun? First of all, Secret Service probably wouldn't let me. Second of all, no, that's what you got people for. But anybody here can afford that? No, right? I can't either, so guess what? I'm my own security detail. Now, if I got to carry a gun, I'm carrying it that God forbid I have to shoot someone, I want a gun that I can shoot. I want a gun that I'm good with, and I want a gun that'll do the job. This isn't a pretty gun, it's not a barbecue gun, it's a full shooting gun. And so I want it to be capable of the task. About a third of all the encounters that I narrate involve multiple attackers. So how many servings of bad guy do you want available? Well, I want more than one. What's a serving of bad guy? How many shots are you going to put into one fool at a time? 3, 4, 5? Yeah, till he decides he's done fighting? Okay. How many is that going to be? I don't know. So the last one we saw was just 1. That's great. Plenty of them involve 0. About 80% of defensive gun uses in America every year don't involve actually shooting the gun. But there are some outliers, and there are some that require quite a few more. Marksmanship is the master. I use technical terms, okay? So if I wanted to say this technically, the first person to put an anatomically significant hit into the other guy wins. But what is that? What's an anatomically significant hit? Something in the meaty bits? People say, well, center of mass. Well, maybe the center of mass is what you've got and what's available, but what if you don't have that available to shoot? Shoot the meaty bits. Shoot them in the meatiest bits you can see. If the meatiest bits you can see is his shins, shoot him in the shins. But the first person to put a significant hit in the other guy almost always wins. Not universally, because luck counts and human beings are remarkably resilient. But this is normally because of what we call the FIBS factor, okay? The FIBS is an acronym that stands for Fudge, I've Been Shot. Now, of course, you may, at your discretion, insert a earthier F word, but we will not use that word unnecessarily, okay? So fudge, I've been shot. When you shoot someone, it hurts. And that pain shows up real fast, and they go, owie, I'm going to go figure something else to do with my day, and I want to get away from here. And that goes both ways. Good guys and bad guys have the FIBS factor, okay? Related to it is FIBSA, which is fudge, I'm being shot at. Anybody ever have a bullet whiz by close to them? So I've been out in the desert in Arizona, out goofing off, and had somebody that was target shooting like a moron without a backstop, and had a 9mm whiz by me about 10 feet from me, and that angry bee buzzing by is motivational. It's one of the craziest sounds you'll ever hear. It's very different. It doesn't sound like a ricochet either. It doesn't sound like that. It's really an angry bee. And once you've heard it, you go, oh, geez, what is happening? Someone is shooting at me. Please stop. Get a hand in the air. So anyways, marksmanship is the master. Misses don't end gunfights. Now, which one's more important, accuracy or speed? So wait a minute. You can't miss fast enough to win a gunfight, but can you hit slow enough to lose one? You can. It is a competition. And if the other guy is faster than you at getting a hit, you lose. So when you say which one's more important, the answer is yes. It's not, well, you got to balance accuracy and speed. I don't want balance. I want a full bucket of both. Mow fast and mow better. And I want to hit what I'm aiming at. Gunfights are won and lost in tenths of seconds. How close was that last gunfight? Dude was bringing his gun around. Now, we know he only had one shot, but he still had one. And instead, our guy got a shot in just fast enough to win his gunfight. They're won and lost in tenths of seconds. Being first is foremost. You want to be accurate and fast. I hear some people talk about, well, it's a balance. I don't want to balance speed and accuracy. I want to be fast and accurate. Now, I will say, when you train, you can't work on both at once. You can work on improving your accuracy. You can then work on improving your speed. Then you combine them both into what we call performance mode. I get that particular terminology from Brian Hill of The Complete Combatant. And we work in performance mode. Every time I leave the range, I want to leave in performance mode. As fast as I can, as accurately as I can, all the time. Can you make those hits? Absolutely. So the famous ones, right? How fast did Jack Wilson need to be at West Freeway Church of Christ? He needed to be fast. He needed to get his gun out of the holster and get a shot, headshot on a moving target 15 yards. And people were dying. 2 of his friends had already died, and more people were about to die. Did he need to be accurate or fast? Needed to be both in full measure. Thank God Jack was. Oh, it was a hell of a shot. And I've talked to him about it, and I think Jack's a heck of a guy. This big myth, 3 shots at 3 yards in 3 seconds. How many gunfights have we seen already in this presentation that have debunked some of that myth? I know people all the time, well, John, the average gunfight's only at 3 yards, so why are we even bothering with this? Why do we care? We're never going to see our sights. It's only 3 yards away. Have we seen shots farther than that already? Yeah. Also, at 3 yards, should I be accessing my sights? In some gross manner at 3 yards. You don't necessarily need to have, the hard front sight focus or any of those things, but I need to kind of at least acknowledge those bumpy things on top of the gun. Or it's 2023, we don't do that anymore, right? Nobody uses iron sights. It's like driving a manual transmission car. Okay, you gun Amish folk. Just only serious. So your optic is good at any distance, right? Where's my optic gang, my pistol-mounted optics gang? Just the 5 or 6 of us, okay, that's just all right. Nerds unite. Okay, so again, how many rounds? So people say, what's the average number of rounds in your gunfights, John? We're actually compiling a database right now. I don't have a good number for you yet. It's really expensive to wade through all that stuff to find those data. And the problem with videos is you don't always get to see every single shot fired. And I don't always get accurate round counts. So it can be kind of hard. We see most number I've seen in a justified defensive use of force by a private citizen is 17. Fewest I've seen is 0. I see 0 a lot. So somewhere between there and where we see bumps at 6 yards, at 6 rounds, we see a significant wall, and at 10 rounds, we see a significant wall. Anybody know why? Magazine capacities. Well, the 6 rounds is generally a revolver capacity. Yeah, we almost never see private citizens using long guns. A private citizen using a long gun is almost a unicorn. And not because private citizens don't, but they always do in their home, and the number of people recording video in their home, very few. In the US at least. So private citizens using defensive rifles or defensive shotguns, it's a pretty rare thing that we get to see that. So cops we see all the time, obviously, because they're wearing badge cams. Carry patrol carbines. So this is a myth. What's the average gunfight start? Well, so 3 shots, anywhere from 0 to 17. 6, 7, 8 is pretty common. Not uncommon at all. 6 is where we run up against capacity limits in revolvers. 10, where we run into capacity limits somewhat administratively in some, subcompact pistols. 3 yards. Usually we see the shooting actually start somewhere between 5 and 7 is pretty typical. 5-ish yards is pretty typical of the start. They end, though, I've seen them end out to 15, 18, 20 yards and be totally justified defensive shootings. If you're a fan of ASP, we just saw one on the channel just 2 days ago. Justified defensive use of force by somebody acting in a private citizen capacity. He was an off-duty cop, but he's acting as a private citizen in that moment. Dude pulls a gun on him, tries to rob him, and his definitive defensive shot to stop that guy from hurting him was all the way across the street. Dude had retreated back to a telephone pole and was still putting shots on him, and he had to shoot that guy from that kind of distance. I know people are, well, John, if you shoot somebody who's more than 7 yards away, you're going to prison for the rest of your life. Not necessarily. It depends on why you shot him. Why? Because that dude over there was shooting at me. I had to shoot him. Okay? How long do they last? Typically 7 seconds or less. You know why they last 7 seconds or less? Because people run out of ammo. And when they run out of ammo, they skedaddle. Bad guys, when they start getting shot at, tend to skedaddle.